Hi folks, well, the ongoing saga of fixing the Cub Cadet LTX1050 continues. Latest problem, mower deck wasn't working right and this fell off. As you can see in there, it's shredded from the spindle that the pulley was on. This is, I think, the tensioner pulley underneath in the deck. I haven't taken the deck off yet, but yeah, this fell out, fell out. So another repair. Now I did have the tensioner pulley break on my 1811 a number of years ago. I had to replace it. So I'm guessing that's just, it's a heavy use part, heavy stress part, or else it's just Cub Cadets making junk that doesn't last. I don't know. So what I'm going to do here as part of this video is show you how to take this deck off. This wasn't easy compared to other decks that I've, my previous decks. The 1811 and the 1810 were a whole lot simpler, but they were older too. This has a number of places where it's attached. So let me come back to you and show you a bit on that. Alright, essentially there are 4 hard points where this thing attaches. As you can see here, here is a little bracket. You pull that out and there's the lift blade right here. I don't know if you can see it too well. The black lift blade here. This pin goes through into a hole in it, and then there's one over on the other side as well. Those are the 2 main mechanisms whereby you can raise and lower the deck. Then there in the back you can see the cotter pin and the washer. That's like a rear sway bar to kind of hold the deck straight as you're mowing. This is a big deck for this tractor, so I think the extra supports they put on were just to make sure that it would be able to handle it. I don't know if it was an afterthought or whatever. And then here in the front, sorry with the camera here for a second. Here in the front you can see there's another type of sway bar or attachment bracket. And this has a cotter pin there. You pull that off. So you take those 4 connections off, and then what you've got left is down here, which I've already shown you with the PTO clutch. You've got this bracket here. You may have to, I'm not sure, I can't remember, you may have to take this bracket off right here to get the drive belt or the PTO belt off. I can't remember how I did that before, but I'll pull it all down and I'll show you. So those 4 connections are what, hang on. Sorry about that, another one of those crank calls about the car warranty. So yeah, I've got to see if I can get that off, that PTO belt off without taking that bracket off. I can't remember. And then I've got to pull everything out and see exactly the extent of the damage from this pulley. So I'll have to go to a dealer to get another one, I'm sure, but at least I should be able to get one today if he's got one in stock. So stay tuned. Okay, it was not the tensioner pulley per se. There are actually 2 pulleys on this tensioner bracket. You can see the bracket here, and it's attached to a spring that hooks to a bolt on the top. I pulled that off to take some of the tension off. And then this pulley used to be there. As you can see, it's shredded. Now, to get this bolt off was a little bit on the tricky side. It's a 9/16, but there is another nut on the underside of this little flange here. It's about 1 inch deep, this little bracket that sits above the deck, and this nut was holding it, securing it from the underside. Now when you pull this out, see if I can show you this here. Okay, there's the tensioner bracket. When you pull this out, here's the assembly that I found. There's a little recessed grommet, whatever you want to call it. It's all part of the assembly that goes down into that bracket. and then that slides off. Then you have another, oops, I'm sorry, that slides off, and then you have another nut there that I have to take off to get at. This is what's left. This is like the spindle part of the pulley right here that's shot that I got to take off. And then I also have this washer on here. I guess that belongs underneath. I'm not sure. So I've got to take this assembly apart and then take the old pulley with me to the dealer and see if he can get me another one. So that's the problem here. It was not, I thought it was this pulley that went bad, the one that kind of holds it here, but these are both involved in the tensioner bracket. This is the whole thing here, is the tensioner bracket that keeps the belt tight when you're mowing. And the spring, of course, is what does that. So this is what wore out on this, and so I just have to replace that pulley. So I will come back to you with hopefully a new one and it put back on. Well, here we go. We're ready to finish this repair on this Cub Cadet deck. Remember, the pulley was shot. Just got back from the dealer with the new part. As you can see there, it is MTD 753-08171, 4 1/4 diameter idler pulley kit. Comes with the other connectors there to put it back together. So that's going to be my next move to do that. It's a let's see, what size bolt was that? 9/16 bolt. So it shouldn't be too difficult. Just have to make sure I get the belt around it properly, and then reattach the tensioner spring here to this bolt, and then it'll be ready to put back together. Now, one thing that I wanted to mention when I was telling you about taking this deck off, in order to get the belt, front of the belt here off of the underside of the pulley that's connected to the PTO clutch. I told you about the bracket that is there, and what I actually had to do is I had to loosen that bracket up. I didn't have to take it off, just loosen it up a little bit to give a little bit more slack so that the belt could drop down below the pulley that's there. It's the bottom of the bracket was too tight against, too close to the bottom of the pulley in order to slide it out. So you just have to loosen that up with the two bolts that are there. You don't have to take it off. Like I said, it's the bracket under the, you know about this because I've shown it in other things. This bracket right here. Just loosen it up a little bit and you can get it out. So now, just put it back together and I should be back in business. Oh, also another thing the dealer told me that I now learned is that the serial number for the tractor, in case you need to find that, is underneath the seat. It's a sticker underneath the seat. So in case you need to find your serial number, it's there. All right, I'll come back to you once put back. Okay, we are all back together. Now, just a couple things I wanted to mention. As you can see in there, the new pulley is in place. When you put the bolt in, don't tighten it down too tight because that pulley has to spin. So you don't want to clamp the little cap on the top, that you don't want to clamp too tight on it. Second of all, make sure that your belt is still wrapped around the pulleys the way it's supposed to. And when you go to put it back together, you may have to attach your other brackets first before you do the belt. Can't put the belt in first and get the brackets in easy. So you might have to work it in. Please make sure that you tighten up these bolts for this bracket, and also make sure that, that your bracket is in that cutout on the power takeoff clutch so they can't spin. Also, these two brackets, to put them back on, the front one and the rear one, and also the two on the sides here. If you're having trouble getting them into position, just maneuver your up and down lever. I want to say that it was easier to get the side ones in with it down low. The rear one, went in, fit easier if I pulled the deck all the way back up. It connected in through better for me. But the front one, I had to drop it all the way down to get it to go in easier. So there is an adjustment on the front of this bolt here with some nuts that if it doesn't quite fit right, you can lengthen or shorten it a bit, but I didn't have to because it was already you know, sized properly or distanced properly. I just needed to get the deck at the right height so that it would catch. So we're going to fire this up, see if I put the pulley on right, and see if that solves my problem as far as being able to mow again. I also did what I could to clean out the deck from underneath, flipped it over while I had it off, so I'll have to do some major work on that over the winter to get it in shape for next year, to get it all cleaned out with like a pressure washer and then lubricated so that I don't have as much stuck on grass throughout the course of the summer. So hang in there, I'll come back with it running and you can see that it's working. Okay, here we go. Thank you for watching, and again, I hope I did this all correctly. And if you have these kind of problems, there are other videos online to help you. But thank you for watching mine. Please subscribe and like our channel and follow along. We'll put this in the Cub Cadet playlist with excuse me, all the other repairs we've done on this thing and all the other Cub Cadets. And we'll come back to you again with the next vision of country living on a shoestring.